welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be my Championship Week 18 score predictions, guys. And coming up this weekend in the Championship, we once again, of course, have a full fixture list to go ahead and predict. And we have some pretty massive games coming up this weekend, which I'm looking forward to getting into. So if you guys haven't seen this series before, let me quickly explain how it all goes down. So every weekend, I give you guys my Championship score predictions for what I think the results will be with each game going on in the Championship. FIFA 18 also makes their score predictions, but what I'm of course interested to know is what you guys have to say. So in the description down below, I'll leave all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend, and then you guys can easily go ahead and make your predictions. And then if you do successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, I will include your comment at the start of the next video. And just before we do actually dive into my predictions for this week, guys, I must quickly talk you through the schedule that's going to be coming up on the channel in the next couple of days, as we have a lot of football that's going to be coming our way over this festive period. So the Championship roundup for this game week will be coming out on Christmas Eve on Sunday. That will also be accompanied with my Boxing Day score predictions. So that video will be coming out on Sunday instead of Monday, because I don't really want to upload on Christmas Day. So that you got that to look forward to on Christmas Eve, and then we'll continue the schedule as normal after that. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some predictions. So our first game to go ahead and predict is the game taking place tonight, guys. That is a game taking place between Norwich and Brentford, and this has the potential to actually be quite a good game, and it does rely on quite a few variables going the right way though. I'd say that if Daniel Farke really goes ahead and lets Norwich's attacking players have some freedom in this game, we really could see a good game of football, because of course Brentford, we've come to expect them playing some quite tenacious attacking football, and if Norwich can bring that game plan into this game, we could see quite a few goals being scored. Although neither of these two sides got a brilliant result in their last game week, of course. Brentford drew to Barnsley and Norwich went ahead and lost to Leeds, but there's always a bit of an inkling with Norwich that I always feel like there's more to come from them, you know. That performance they had not too long ago against Sheffield Wednesday was some of the best football we've seen from them so far this season, so if they can show more of that in this game, they probably will get something from it. But for this game, I'm going to go ahead and predict it to finish as a 1-1 draw, and FIFA's actually going to agree with me. Then we do move on into the Saturday games, and the first of which being Bolton Wanderers, who are coming up against Cardiff City. Now, of course, Bolton have really let their standards slip in recent weeks. I'd say that their recent performances really haven't been admirable for them, and compare that to Cardiff City, who are just carrying on, grinding it out at the top of the Championship, and they don't show any signs of letting up at the moment. And so this game against Bolton, you really would expect it to be Cardiff taking the game to them, and just that Bolton defence at the moment I'm not too sure about, and going forward, especially for Bolton, seeming a bit limp at the moment. So for this game, I'm going to go ahead and predict it to be a fairly comfortable 2-0 away victory for Cardiff. Cardiff, they've not been making life easy for them lately. They've been scraping a couple of wins, but I feel like this may be a bit of a different picture. So I'll go with a 2-0 Cardiff. FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Bolton. Then as we do move on into our next game, we have another pretty hard fixture to go ahead and predict, in my opinion. That is a game taking place between Derby County and Millwall. Now, if we look at both of these two's forms at the moment, they're actually both doing really well. Millwall are now unbeaten in their last 3 games, and Derby have gone ahead and won their last 3 games, of course. Derby currently sat 4th in the Championship. I mean, if Vidra is on form for this one, I think Derby may do it in this one, you know. But going from back to front for Derby, I've been largely impressed by their whole squad so far this season. I think in midfield, Joe Ledley's been fantastic for them whenever he has been available. Scott Carson in net's been terrific for them, and I do get the impression that Millwall will want to bring the game to Derby in this one, and so I think that Scott Carson will be tested quite a bit in this one, but nevertheless, I do see Derby going ahead and pulling through in the end. So for this game, I'll go ahead and predict it to be a 2-1 home victory for Derby, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 0-0. Then our next game sees Fulham go up against Barnsley, and of course, Barnsley at the moment not in the greatest of runs on the Championship. You know, they had that consecutive losing streak, which last week, to be fair, they did manage to put an end to that. with that 0-0 draw they got against Brentford. Still yet to win a game in about 6 or 7 games, so they're going to be wanting to put an end to that as soon as possible. And they're coming up against this Fulham side who can't be riding high on confidence at the moment. I mean, they are the side that gifted Sunderland their first home victory in the whole of 2017, so God knows where the minds of the Fulham players are at the moment, but they're going to have to show a reaction for this one. And I feel like the mood around Barnsley overall will have just lifted a bit. After this new takeover, I feel like the squad will have a new impetus to want to impress, and so for that reason I think they could get a positive reaction in this one, and we could see a few goals being scored. So for this game I'm going to go ahead and predict a 2-2 draw, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-0 Fulham. Then we do move on into our next game, and we do have a very feisty game which could be going on here. We have Leeds United coming up against Hull City. Now in terms of Hull, I think the jury's still out for their new manager, who's been able to win one and lose one so far, and this game against Leeds will be a big test for this Hull squad in my opinion. You know, I think that Nigel Atkins, in fairness to him, he does seem to have shored up that defence a little bit. You know, I was quite impressed with their defending in the last one despite losing the game, and Leeds will really test them. You know, some of the players they've got going forward who really seem to be hitting form at the moment, like Alioski, who's been great, Saiss, who's been great as well, and Kemar Roof as well, they really could cause that Hull defence some issues in this one. So I'm not sure what Hull side's going to turn up for this one, but I do expect there to be goals. So for this one I'm going to go for a 3-1 home victory for Leeds United, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Then our next game taking place is between my club Preston North End and Nottingham Forest. So two sides who so far this season aren't in a too dissimilar position in the Championship. Forest just a couple of places below Preston at this point in time, but you just have to look at Preston's form at the moment and it is very impressive. You know, we've gone ahead and won our last 3 games and are going to be wanting to continue this run for as long as possible, and in that time we have been playing some excellent football. You know, going forward especially, we really do seem to be turning a screw at the moment and defending a lot better as well as a whole unit. Nottingham Forest, of course, still yet to draw a game this season, and interestingly enough, their last draw actually came away to Preston last season in around about February time, I think. So we could see history repeat itself here, but for me, I hope not. And I do get that impression that if Preston really are on their game going forward, that Forest defence is just looking more shaky week by week, really. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and back a 2-1 home victory for Preston, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-0 Preston. Our next game then sees Queen's Park Rangers go up against Bristol City. Now we have to first of all give a quick mention for Bristol City and that mad performance they had in midweek, knocking out Manchester United of the League Cup. That was, what a performance that was from Bristol City. But the interesting thing about this one will be, will that have distracted them slightly from this game against QPR? Of course, QPR squad that will be much more rested than Bristol City's, which could see it have a little bit of an impact on this game here today. Of course, for large majorities of the season, Bristol City have been absolutely irresistible to watch, going forward especially, and I think the same could happen in this one, although QPR so far this season, at home especially, have been able to take down quite a few of the big sides. You know, they managed to beat Sheffield United at home when they were 3rd in the league. They've managed to beat Wolves when they were top of the league, like they still are, and I get the impression a similar thing could happen in this one, especially as Bristol City did play in midweek. So for this one, I'm going to back QPR. You know, I think this one could go against the run of form at the moment, and so I'm going to back QPR for a 2-1 home victory, whereas FIFA is also going to say 1-0 QPR. Then our next game sees Reading go up against Burton Albion. So of course last week we did see Burton Albion climb off the bottom of the Championship with that away victory over Bolton Wanderers. So this game against Reading is another chance for them to go ahead and get a back-to-back win and then really climb out of that relegation zone. But do I see it happening? It's a curious game to go ahead and look into. You know, Reading's form this season has been very wavering up and down. When Reading are on their game, they are a decent side to watch, but what I do anticipate for this one to happen is Reading are a side, no doubt, who likes to have possession and hold on to the ball. Burton will have no problem with that. You know, they'll let Reading have the ball and really sit back deep in 2 banks of 4 and then a couple of strikers maybe up front. I just think that this will be a really low scoring game, and it's whether Reading's attacking players do manage to, when they get that chance inside the box, whether they manage to take it or not. And I get the impression that this one has a 0-0 written all over it, but I'm going to just back a 1-0 home victory for Reading. Honestly, this one is on a knife edge and could go either way, but I am going to go 1-0 Reading, whereas FIFA is going to say a 0-0. Our next game then sees two managers matching up against each other who are both coming under increasing pressure this season, for both of them underachieving really so far. That is of course Sheffield Wednesday, who are coming up against Middlesbrough, and this could have a massive significance. You know, if either of these two sides lose it, we could see a manager sacked this week. It wouldn't honestly surprise me that much, but Sheffield Wednesday, in fairness to them, in their last game against Wolves, I thought they did show a steady improvement actually, and were maybe a little bit unfortunate not to get anything from that game. Middlesbrough on the other hand, they're just a side which just continues. You think they're improving and then they just go back to square one, and this is a massive opportunity really for either of these two sides to go ahead and start building some form. But do I see it happening in this one? Honestly, I think this one is heading towards a draw, so I'm going to go ahead and predict this one to finish as a 1-1 draw, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be another 0-0. And our next game could have huge significance on the bottom of the Championship. We then see Sunderland go up against Birmingham City. Now of course, Birmingham are now the team rooted to the bottom of the Championship, and there just hasn't been any signs of them improving. You know, of course, we saw Harry Redknapp get the sack. A lot of Birmingham fans thought that they may start to turn it around and build a little bit of momentum, but under Steve Cottrell, that's just not been the case. They're still struggling for goals, and they're coming up against the Sunderland side, who finally has managed to break the curse at the Stadium of Light. And you know what? I actually think that Sunderland may go ahead and win 2 on the bounce at their home ground for this one. So for Sunderland, I am going to go ahead and predict it to be a 1-0 victory. I do get the impression that it probably will be another quite low scoring game. It will be quite a cagey game with both of these sides currently nearer the bottom of the table, but I will go with a 1-0 Sunderland victory, whereas FIFA's saying it will also be 1-0. Then our next matchup sees Wolves, currently sat top of the Championship, go up against Ipswich Town. So of course, we do see Mick McCarthy returning to Molineux, and this will be an interesting game to go ahead and ponder. I feel like if Ipswich do bring the right game plan into this one, they do have the potential to cause Wolves some problems going forward, especially, you know, the linking up play between like the likes of Garner, Wycon and McGoldrick up front. They do have the potential to go ahead and unlock that Wolves defence, and I get the impression that this may be a game for Wolves where they just need to grind out another victory. Of course, in their last game week against Sheffield Wednesday, it was probably one of their worst performances of the season, but even so, even when they're playing, you know, to that standard, they still go ahead and grind out victories, and I get the impression that the same could happen in this one, and so I'm going to go ahead and back a 2-1 home victory for Wolves in this one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Then our last game to go ahead and predict does see Aston Villa go up against Sheffield United. So a very interesting encounter actually between the two sides currently sat 5th and 6th in the Championship. Now, to be fair to them, neither of them are in the best of run of form at the moment, so this is a massive opportunity for either of them to go ahead and really re-establish themselves as a top 6 side and build that gap a little bit more between 7th place. And Sheffield United, of course, have been quite hampered recently with both injuries and suspensions. I think they could be a little bit better in this one, as both Duffy and Brooks have been back in training recently, I'm led to believe. So if they do feature in this game, that will give them a massive booster. You know, I watched them play against Preston the other week, and just that midfield triangle just doesn't work without their key players playing in it, and so it will be an added bonus if they are back for this one. Aston Villa lately, I don't think have been brilliant. I think they've lost a little bit of their intensity going forward, which I think they need to regain in a game like this. And I think that if they are, this is a good chance for them to play Sheffield United, really. Of course, they've still got quite a depleted squad, and I get the impression that Villa may go ahead and sneak this one. So for this game, I'm going to go ahead and predict it to be a 2-1 home victory for Villa, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. So there you guys have it. That will wrap it up for my Championship Week 18 score predictions. So do you guys agree with my score predictions? Let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.